Yeah. 3, 2, 1, you're live. Okay, good morning, everybody. It's January. It's Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. That can only mean one thing. It's time for the British Rental Kart Championship. And this 2020 event is going to be the 10th anniversary one. It's going to be a spectacular event because what have we got in store? A fantastic lineup of drivers, including double world champion Ruben Boutens. He's the 6th-time and defending champion of this particular event, and he's going to be challenged this year by Michael Schottler, no less. He's the world champion. He took the world title in 2019, last summer, and it's going to be spectacular to see them tackling each other. The first heat's going to be getting underway. I can see it down there. They're getting into the karts as we speak, getting the weights sorted out. Going to be explaining the way that the format is for our international viewers. A little bit different to what some people may be used to, particularly in their own indoor karting. It's going to be a very special event. Now, what have we got in store? Well, we'll have a look at the format now, and hopefully that will be coming up soon. And I'll explain it. It's a little bit different to what most people see. So what we have is
for the British Rental Kart Championship,
a lineup of 100 drivers in total. They're going to be racing over 10 heat races each year. They're racing in 10 heat races on per round. And here we are. So this is how the format is. We have 100 drivers. They compete in 4 rounds. Heat round 1, heat round 2, heat round 3, heat round 4. Each driver has 1 heat in each of those rounds. Now, the top 30 drivers on points at the end of that go through to one of the semi-finals. And that's their right to continue scoring. And the top 10 from that go to the Super Pole shootout, which sets the qualifying order for the grand final and the positions there. And the overall winner, the winner of that event, is the BRKC 2020 champion, including the £1,000 first prize, gigantic trophy, and free entry to the World Championship for 2020. World Championship, of course, this year in Portugal. British Rental Kart Championship is just one of a number of national titles that take place over the year. The British one, just like the others, is a one-weekend shootout event. Indoor karting is supposed to be a very, very easy to do and not very expensive form of motorsport. Now, if you were racing in a 10-round series, that's obviously a great big commitment in time and money over the year. Of course, when it's all on one weekend, it makes it a lot more doable and accessible. And the guys racing for that £1,000 first prize, that's probably the most profitable form of motorsport you can be doing in the UK at the moment. So, looking ahead, we've got the first heat races due to go out, and we've got a pretty much an all-star entry in this one, headed, for my money, by the Belgian Johan Medart. He's the reigning Belgian national champion, and he's actually looks like he's going to be one of the early ones out to qualify. We'll be looking at them as they take to the track. Also is Guillermo van Pamelen, and he's a former world champion, Guillermo van Pamelen. He, of course, was the world champion in the junior level. Now he's a sort of senior driver, and we'll see what he can do. But he is expected to be competitive and potentially a challenger for overall victory come the grand final if he can. Interestingly as well, British hopes in this one, we have Ed White. Ed White, of course, one of the highest rated of the British drivers. He's going to be out there. We also have Dante Dillon, who's another expert at this track and potentially one of the fastest. Look to him to throw a real star turn. Also a very light driver. Now that brings me on to another point. The karts are all weighted up equally to 90 kilos. So anybody who's less than 90 kilos will have to be adding weight. The top drivers all use their own sort of seat insert, which brings them up as close as possible to that 90 kilos. And over the course of the weekend, I'll be explaining that. I do appreciate we have a bunch of international viewers now who may not be entirely up to speed with the format. We'll keep you updated on what it is. But Dante Dillon, he is one of the lightest drivers and is actually using over 30 kilos of ballast. And you'll see them lifting out this ballasted seat insert as they get in and out of the cart. So I'm just looking out of the commentary window here. It looks like the drivers are all down there ready to go. Looking at the 2 rows, not sure which one's going to go out first, but one of Britain's top hopes, Ed White, he is going to be one of the first out to qualify. He's over on the right-hand lane as I see out of the window here. So He's going to be one to watch, but pretty much, as I say, all-star entry throughout this race, throughout the whole championship. Actually, there are over 40 foreign drivers, regulars who routinely go around Europe, particularly also around the world, chasing these national titles, and of course the Kart World Championship, the holy grail for all of these people. Now, the key thing to remember in this is because of its accessibility with the karting, the fact is that nobody is looking to go beyond this to Formula One. This is the top of the tree for these guys. This is where it's at for them. And we will certainly be seeing how this means everything to each of these drivers here. And of course, that free entry to the World Championship, vitally important, does save them some money. And certainly they'll be shooting for that as well. The top three do receive a free entry into the World Championship. Again, a lot of these competitors will be taking part in the World Championship. They know each other quite well. They know what to expect from each other. So as they head on out onto the track, leaving the pit lane, the first thing they cross is the start line. Scott McIntyre is one of the new rookie British drivers in this. He's actually won the championship for the Junior Saloon Car Championship in the UK in cars this year, but he's relatively inexperienced at indoor karting. We'll see how it's going to be for him. It's going to be very difficult for him, because although he's a champion in cars, this is such a tightly contested event, and the people in it are among the world's best. So Scott McIntyre, Cedric Wouters, he's the one leading the way. So Cedric Wouters, now they're on to their qualifying lap now. It's a warm-up lap and a qualifying lap. This will say starting grid. It's going to be a single file start. That means the kart's more competitive for longer. There's no opening lap melee usually, although it can. Cedric Wouters was the first one out to qualify. Alex Van Gien, perennial BRK driver. Alex Van Gien is currently quickest from Cedric Wouters. But where's Johan Martin's fall? Van Gien is still first. It's incredible. Dante Dillon won the pre-favourites is fifth, and Wed White is down in seventh place. It's going to be Van Gien surely. There's some more drive come through. Will we see a change for the first place? Yes, we do. It's Cedric Wouters. Cedric Wouters top of the table. Alex Van Gien is back up in front. These are the finish now of the qualifying lap. So Alex Van Gien is still currently fastest. That's incredible for the veteran British driver. He's been in nearly every single BRKC race there's been. Guillermo van Pamelen second. Ed White goes up first. Dante Dillon takes the provisional pole position. It's Dante Dillon fastest. Johan Medart comes through fourth. It's still Dante Dillon. Greg Smith in there in eighth. And Nicole Egner moves up to eighth place. That pushes Smith and Nicky Dolan down. So we've got Dante Dillon qualifying on pole for the first BRKC race of 2020, followed by Ed White, Alex Van Gien and Johan Medart, Guillermo van Pamelen, Cedric Wouters, Scott McIntyre down there in seventh, Nicole Egner is eighth, and Greg Smith ninth, with Nicky Dolan rounding them out in 10th place. Now this is incredible. Dante Dillon has been fast here. He is very much a highly rated local driver, but to give some perspective, back in 2018, Dante Dillon was 28th in the championship, 21st in 2019, and he's opening his 2020 campaign with pole position in this race. He's going to be pleased and possibly a little surprised, given he's got the reigning Belgian champion and in fourth behind him, Johan Medart. Guillermo van Pamelen, former junior world champion, is there in fifth place. Ed White, British, highly rated British driver, one of Britain's top hopes to achieve in this. He was his highest ranking's been third in the championship before, and Ed White certainly is looking to, sorry, he's been second. He was second in 2019 last year. He's also been fourth as well. That was the year before in 2018. He's obviously going to try and be first, but he's got to get past Dante Dillon if he's going to win this race. Alex Van Gien, that's potentially Van Gien's greatest ever qualifying performance in the format of the indoor format that the BRKC has taken since 2014. So Alex Van Gien, an incredible third place on the grid there. So the organisers getting them lined up there. They form a line on the back part, and the marshals there on the back straight, they will guide them into their correct position for the start. Now, looking up at the front there, that is, of course, we're looking straight at Ed White. Ed White there in the blue and orange helmet. In front of him is Dante Dillon, and then behind him is Alex Van Gien. There's Alex Van Gien in the blue overalls, blue and white overalls with the blue and white helmet. Very recognisable there. And Alex Van Gien will be starting third. There's Johan Medart coming through in fourth. So we're anticipating the start. It's a rolling start. The marshal's just slowing them down, backing them all up, so it's a very tight run to the line. And Dante Dillon pulls the pin. He crosses the line and leads the way on the opening race of BRKC 2020. So Dante Dillon leads the way, a very light driver, but remember, he is weighted to 90 kilos, just like all the rest with that seat insert I was talking about. It's been a clean start, but it does look like it is Dante Dillon and Ed White already pulling away a little bit. Johan Medart is running in third. He's got ahead of Alex Van Gien, who's been pushed forward. So Johan Medart making moves already. Van Gien fighting a bit of a rear guard action there to Guillermo van Pamelen. And here comes Ed White in the lead. Ed White has taken the lead from Dante Dillon. Ed White, unsighted there, has taken the lead as they cross the line. There's the finish line. See painted on the ground there, that black and white strip there. So Ed White leads the way in the opening race, BRKC 2020. This is what Ed White needs. He needs to pull a bit of a gap now on Dante Dillon. Another exciting format for the indoor championships that the rest of the world use as well is the mandatory pit stop. At some point during this race they will all have to make a pit stop. They effectively stop twice in one pit visit, and you can see the entrance there for the pit lane to the right there on the camera view. Ed White is leading the way. They can't stop in the opening lap. It's going to be an interesting variety of strategies. Will people pit early? Will people pit later? Obviously a later pit stop allows you to really decide during the race if you need to pit or to get away from somebody. If you feel that you're being held up by someone, although the standard in this event is so high, it's very unlikely anyone's going to be getting held up as such. But Ed White is leading the way. He's got Dante Dillon. It's unlikely they're going to be stopping early. I think Ed White and Dante Dillon and certainly Johan Medart may go for the long haul in terms of waiting for a late pit stop. Although with Johan Medart closing quite handily on the leaders now, he's really gapped himself from fourth place Alex Van Gien. Johan Medart may choose for an early pit stop if he feels this is going to be the best way of getting past the two leaders. If he feels he's got the pace, he may well come into the pits and try and make up ground without anyone in front of him, and he's free to run his own pace. And then of course when the two leaders, Ed White and Dante Dillon, come in, they will theoretically, from his point of view, tuck in behind Medart. So will Medart come in? No, he's not. He's staying out. He's staying out there in third place. He's all over the back of Dante Dillon as they start another lap. There he is on screen. So Johan Medart is the one in third place. So there goes Ed White into the snail section, as it's known here at Formula Fast and Milton Keynes. There's Ed White, and he's got Dante Dillon behind him with Johan Medart right on the tail of Dante Dillon. There they are. That's Dillon, that's Medart. They're coming around the big sweeping bend onto the backstretch now. Medart, will he go to the inside? No, Dante Dillon's covered it. Dante Dillon's covered it. There'll be someone in the pits. No, that's the pit lane itself. But as they come through, will we see Medart duck into the pits? No, Medart is staying out. Medart is staying out. He feels he can maybe challenge Dante Dillon on track. He's really close behind the young driver there. Dante Dillon quite experienced now, and he knows what to do to hold off the likes of Johan Medart, the Belgian national champion there, Medart, and we'll be seeing some of the people he had to beat later on in the championship, including double world champion Rubens and reigning British champion, and of course the new world champion Michael Schulte will be in action. There's Ed White, a close-up as he gets towards the final corner. Ed White is opening a bigger lead now, and there's the second place. It's Dillon from Medart. Dante Dillon crossing the line to put in another lap in second place ahead of Johan Medart, the Belgian national champion, as Medart really is he's staying with Dillon, and theoretically you'd think he'd want to be going past. It's going to be difficult for him to try and make a move. Dante Dillon does seem to have all the bases covered. Down the backstretch, here comes Ed White now. Dillon moves to the inside to cover it. Johan Medart getting pretty racy now, but Dante Dillon's got the mushroom, this so-called sort of sixth sense that a decent indoor karter has. Of course there are no mirrors, he can't actually see Medart, he just has to kind of know he's there. He knows that Medart is close, and he knows a challenge is going to be coming, particularly into that corner at the end of the back straight. So let's have a little recap. Ed White is continuing round. He's put 7 laps into the books now. He's opening a bigger lead from that titanic battle for second place. It's Dante Dillon and Johan Medart. Now, Johan Medart had better watch out here. He's making a move to the inside, but Dante Dillon has blocked him out. I think it's time for Medart to pit myself, because Ed White is starting to pull away. So will we see Medart come in this time? Medart could pit himself around the problem, but he's not taking it. Medart has not taken the option to pit stop. In fact, he's been closed in by Guillermo van Pamelen. Guillermo van Pamelen is seriously on the move now. I'm going to have a look at the fastest laps. They're not quite coming up yet, but certainly let me have a look and see. Is Van Pamelen quickest on track? Yes, he is. Van Pamelen is the fastest on the track at the moment, and Van Pamelen is in fourth place. He's making all those moves to get up into third place to challenge Johan Medart, possibly even take second. There's Van Pamelen right there. You can see it on screen. So Dante Dillon at the head of that little group there. Medart second. Van Pamelen's made a huge gain on the battle for second place. Van Pamelen fastest on track and is closing them down. He's now joined that battle as they work through the Snell section and out towards the backstretch now. Will there be a huge land? Dante Dillon's going to be defending from Medart, but he's also going to be defending from Van Pamelen in fourth place as well as they come down the back straight. Medart one side and the other, but Van Pamelen's having a watching brief there. Coming to the final part, there's Ed White, he goes through now. Will Medart pit? Will Medart pit? No, he doesn't, nor does Van Pamelen. And Van Pamelen has very quickly caught that second place battle. Maybe Van Pamelen's going to take an inspired pit stop. A move on the inside there by Johan Medart didn't come off. It's still Dante Dillon in that second place. Dante Dillon putting in the performance of a lifetime to hold on to that second place in this opening race. And into the pits, we've got the 13. The 13, that's Nicky Dolan. Nick Dolan pits from last place and resumes. So we can see there that it's a double pit stop. Each driver has to come to a halt twice, once at the beginning of the pit lane, once at the end. It's a mandatory stop for all competitors. Into the pits is Van Pamelen. There he is from fourth place. This is an inspired move by Van Pamelen. He's going to use this opportunity to try and get away from Dart and from Dante Dillon. He feels he's going to be faster on his own, but he's right behind another driver. That's Greg Smith. Greg Smith is ahead of Guillermo Van Pamelen. Now there is Johan Medart. Johan Medart has been freed from the challenge of Guillermo Van Pamelen as he's still working on Dante Dillon now. Will he follow Van Pamelen's idea of coming to pits? No, Medart is staying out. Medart is staying out as they cross the line again. Another lap in the books. 12 laps completed so far. So into the pits, we've got another pit visitor. Have a look at that. Is that Scott McIntyre? It's the 21. It's Scott McIntyre. And also in the pits is Greg Smith. Now that releases Guillermo Van Pamelen. If you remember, when Van Pamelen came out, he came out right behind Greg Smith. So this is really playing into his hands. Guillermo Van Pamelen is now free to set whatever lap times he thinks he can. And into... No, we've got a pass position. It's unseen by me. Johan Medart has actually taken that second place now. And he's starting to pull away a little bit. The 8 kart is in. That's Cedric Wouters. Cedric Wouters into the pits. And Cedric nearly qualifies. The Belgian driver there. Cedric Wouters, he's been a world champion himself. The Traxxas karting in 2018. And Cedric Wouters, very highly rated driver from Belgium. We've seen before. Talking of highly rated though, it's still Ed White who's just crossed the line to put another lap in there. And this is the area of the Snell section we're looking on the screen. Now Ed White's going to arrive any second. There he is. There's Ed White coming through. He's just gone through. Now what's the gap? There's the gap. That's Medart visible there. It's quite a bit of a chunk. Ed White to be around. He's been waved through there by I think Nicky Dolan. And that puts White a lap ahead. Obviously Ed does have to make a pit stop. Dolan has made his stop. And Ed White is going to be closing in towards Greg Smith there. Greg Smith, of course, has been in the pits. Ed White has not. Now, was that Medart? Yes, it was Medart. Medart is in the pits. Johan Medart, the Belgian national champion, pits from second place. Now, this is very important from Ed White's point of view because Ed White needs Medart to not really be able to make inroads on his lead. Ed White has got to be fast at this stage. Medart will be trying to consider where he's going to come out in front of him or behind him. When he, as in Ed White, actually makes the pit stop. So it's still the order of the race being Ed White from Dante Dillon. Guillermo Van Pamelen has come up to third place now, and Guillermo Van Pamelen has made his pit stop. We look at maybe just under 10 seconds, around 10 seconds is a good benchmark for pit stops, and Guillermo Van Pamelen would at the moment come out of this cycle of pit stops ahead of Dante Dillon, but behind Ed White. Should things stay as they are at the moment, but we'll see what happens. But Dante Dillon's pit stop is going to have to be very, very good indeed. Now it's still Ed White in the lead. It's still Dante Dillon. It's really all eyes on Dante Dillon there in second place as to when he makes his pit stop and how that's going to work out. Guillermo Van Pamelen, who is now third on the road, and Johan Medart, who is fourth on the road, both having made their stops. So Cedric Wouters. Pretty much everybody's been in the pits now, except crucially those 2 leaders. We're looking at Alex Van Gien there, perennial BRKC regular, and he has up and down the years, it has to be said. He has actually won a BRKC heat race before. It's not going to be this one, but he's showing well there in the midfield, and that's him running around there with Scott McIntyre. Scott McIntyre making his debut in the BRKC in 2020. So still Ed White in the lead, but there's Alex Van Gien, there's Scott McIntyre as they make their way around, and Alex Van Gien into that corner at the end of the back straight. Very obvious place for overtaking now. Very tight close up there as they cross the line there. So Scott McIntyre is now closed in a bit on Alex Van Gien, and this is actually a battle for position. They're very close indeed. Scott McIntyre has really got the bit between his teeth. He's in the opening race on his debut at the British Rental Kart Championship. This is the highest level you can get for Rental Kart Championships. It's the British Championship. It's a one-event shootout, glittering international entry here. This is the backstretch, and there's Van Gien trying to defend now. Greg Smith has been passed there by the race leader, Ed White. Greg Smith with 19 laps in has yet to make that pit stop though. He didn't need to make a pit stop to get around Greg Smith. Greg obviously saw him coming, realised it was the race leader, waved him through, and there's Ed White followed by Greg Smith. Putting the lap in, it's going to be 20 laps there for Ed White. Ed White now 20 laps in. And there, well, that's Ed White we're looking at coming out of the snail section. Very tight, difficult section there for the snail area, we call it. And around and down that long back stretch. He's making up a little bit of time there over Greg Smith. Ed White is running fast. He's not the fastest on the track. That is now Johan Medart. Johan Medart appears to be the quickest on the track. Johan Medart is in 4th place. Of course, he has lost time to Guillermo van Pamelen, maybe a little bit late with the pit stop. Van Pamelen made earlier pit stop and it seems to work for him. Now there's Dante Dillon in the pits. This is crucial, and Dillon loses 2nd, he loses 3rd, and he's coming out 4th. Dante Dillon's going to come out 4th. He's going to maintain that gap over Cedric Wouters though, does he? Yes, he does. He's on the section. There's Ed White, there's Greg Smith, who we know is a lap down. What's happening behind? There's Dante Dillon. Dante Dillon coming out of the snail section. He's held on to 4th place. Yes, he's lost a place to Guillermo van Pamelen. Yes, he's lost a place to Johan Medart, but he is 4th. He stayed ahead of Cedric Wouters and Alex Van Gien. Crucially, though, I think the one he had to be worried about was Wouters. The way Medart was catching, the way Van Pamelen was catching with their earlier pit stops, it was probably fairly obvious they were going to leapfrog him when they were able to run in clean air, particularly Van Pamelen, it has to be said, who has now moved in 2nd. But crucially, from Dillon's point of view, he can get a lot of points there for that 4th place. Remember, it's a points-based system. Each driver runs 1 heat race in each of those 4 rounds, so Dante Dillon does have another 3 races this weekend after that in order to score enough points to make it to the semi-final. It's going to be very, very tough this year. We say it every year, but this year, with an incredible all-star cast, many world champions, but we have last year's world champion and the year before that's world champion. 2 more years of world champions as well around there, which I'll be talking about as we go on. There's Alex Van Gien and Scott McIntyre. This is quite a race here. Scott McIntyre, the debutant junior saloon car champion from last year, as we've already said, but he's all over the back of BRKC regular Alex Van Gien. Now Alex Van Gien is really going well. He's in the midfield there. We've seen him in this sort of thing. We've seen him at the front, we've seen him at the back, we've seen him in the middle. But Scott McIntyre is really showing good form. If he's able to stay with regulars like Alex Van Gien, that really is a good sign. It's so easy to feel that, well, you know, it's an indoor car race. I should be able to do this because, you know, I've won the Junior Saloon Car Championship on all the big circuits like Brands Hatch, Silverstone, Snetson. But this really is the top level in its own right. These guys are racing each year for various national championships, big money championships like this one here in Milton Keynes at Formula Fast. And quite frankly, it's top of the tree for them. They're not looking to take this any higher. It's the most affordable and profitable racing they can do, and they will sit in this for the rest of their racing careers. So Scott McIntyre running 7th place is really quite a good showing there from the debutant in his opening race. There he is behind Alex Van Gien, and it looks like they're being closed in, and that's Nicole Egner, the German girl. Nicole Egner is closing in on Scott McIntyre and Alex Van Gien. This can be a 3-way fight for 6th place between Alex Van Gien, Scott McIntyre and Nicole Egner. And Nicole Egner, the German girl, is making her debut here in the BRKC, obviously a regular in the German Championships and the World Championships, another one of the foreign drivers there. And there's Alex Van Gien, and there is Scott McIntyre. They've been closed by Nicole Egner there, who's just coming into view just behind. She's actually sort of gradually creeping them. She was 2nd place in the German Indoor Kart Championship last year, and in the Team Kart Cup. And so Nicole Legner, there's Ed White, the race leader in the pits. Here he is. So this is the second part of the pit stop. And Ed White comes out. He's he's lost some position, but there are people who are a lap down. Ed White stays in the lead, does he? Yes, he does. Ed White has come out just in front of Guillermo van Pamelen. Ed White has done enough. So when we see on the screen there, we'll be looking for Ed White. There's Dante Dillon, with Cedric Wouters has caught him as well. Gosh, this is really tightening up to the final stages of this race. Now, down the back straight, where is Ed White? There is Ed White on your screen now. That's Ed White. There's Guillermo van Pamelen. There is Johan Medard. It's really close, first, second, third. And there in fourth place was Dan Dillon and Cedric Wouters battling away. So really, the length of that back stretch is it's pretty much covering the top 5, which is half the race. 10 karts in the race, of course, in every race. Now there's Ed White, the race leader. That's exiting the Snell section, and a long winding curve as they head towards the back stretch. There's Ed White and look like Guillermo van Pamelen just going out of view in the picture on the far side of the screen. So Ed White continues in the lead. He's done enough. He's got a 2-second lead, and he's just going to cross the line now. We're going to have a look at the gap there. So Ed White crosses the line. Oh, there's a battle there. That is Cedric Wouters all over the back of Dante Dillon. Cedric Wouters, the Belgian, has caught now Dante Dillon. Dante Dillon is fighting like crazy to hold on to fourth place. Ed White 29 laps in. There's Ed White coming off the Snells here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. Britain's top indoor kart championship is hosted here at Formula Fast, a very worthy venue, and top championship in potentially the top circuit in the UK. They set how to put on a race, and that's what we're getting here. So Ed White continues on in the lead. Guillermo van Pamelen, but van Pamelen's closed it down. Ed White's had to pass somebody. It looks like it was Nicky Dolan he had to pass. Yes, he's between Nicky Dolan and Greg Smith, so Ed White maybe's lost some time, but the race not long to go now. We've got 30 laps in the books, and in fact there is Ed White taking Greg Smith, and in fact Greg Smith coming under attack from Nicky Dolan. That's for position behind him, but Greg Smith holds on. He holds on. So there's Ed White on screen in the lead, the race leader, Ed White. And there's 2 back markers, and then it's Guillermo van Pamelen, and then it's Johan Medard. So there's White, the 2 back markers in Smith and Dolan, and then Guillermo van Pamelen. Guillermo van Pamelen really cursing the fact he's got 2 back markers in front of him. He's already all over the back of Nicky Dolan, but Johan Medard's going with him. So let's have a look. It's Ed White. Oh, the back stretch is going to be epic. We're going to see an enormous move down the back there from Guillermo van Pamelen, surely. There's Ed White with a bit of a gap. Guillermo van Pamelen's got the first one. He's got Dolan. Now he's after Smith. He hasn't got enough space, but now Guillermo van Pamelen has got a kart, which is Nicky Dolan, between him and Guillermo van Pamelen. Johan Medard it was, has just passed the 2 back markers, Dolan and Smith, in one move there. A little bit of a wave from the Belgian champion, and Dolan has taken Smith as well. It's all kicking off down the back end there as we watch Ed White. Now look at this, Ed White coming onto the backstretch. What is the visual gap? Because there is Ed White. He seems to have it pretty clear at the moment. There's Guillermo van Pamelen. Guillermo van Pamelen, 2 seconds. He's lost time behind Greg Smith and Nicky Dolan. It's exactly what Ed White wanted. So across the line, there is Ed White. Here is van Pamelen. Ed White, one of Britain's top hopes, highly rated for many years. He was second in the championship last year. There's Guillermo van Pamelen there, former world champion himself in the junior rankings. And the race, it's got a bit of a collision at the back there. It was Alex Van Gien, and that was Nicole Egner, and who was it? Scott McIntyre, I believe, came into contact. All 3 of them almost came to a stop. Just looking at the screen. But here is Ed White. Ed White continues on. 34 laps in. Guillermo van Pamelen is right behind him. It's less than 2 seconds now. It's less than 2 seconds. Guillermo van Pamelen is closing in on the race leader. Has he got enough time? We're not sure yet. There's still a little bit of time to go. A few minutes left, but not very many. So we'll keep an eye on where that second place is. So Ed White, it's visual. It's less than 2. There's Guillermo van Pamelen behind, and there's Johan Medard coming into the picture. The gap seems to be visually about equal between the top 3. Across the line again, it's Ed White, it's Guillermo van Pamelen, and Johan Medard, and then in 4th place. Here it is. It's the battle crossing the line. Dante Dillon, Cedric Wouters. So looking out, Johan Medard. There's the finish line. We're getting ready with the checkered flag in the not too distant. 35 laps in the book. There's Ed White. Ed White running down that backstretch. There's Guillaume Van Pamelen, and there is Johan Medart. So you could see the leaders there. Surely it's getting closer. Yes, it is on time. Guillaume Van Pamelen is listed at 1.7 seconds behind on the last lap through, but they're crossing the line again. Has he closed in? The checker flag is out. Ed White has won, and Guillaume Van Pamelen is second, and Johan Medart is in third. Van Pamelen did close in. Dante Dillon, will he hold on? Yes, he does. Dante Dillon into fourth place. Cedric Wouters into fifth place. Alex Van Gien, yes, he's going to be sixth. But Nicole Legner has passed Scott McIntyre for seventh. That puts McIntyre in seventh. There they are crossing the line now. Very much a last lap move there. And then Nicky Dolan has finished ahead of Greg Smith, who's been pushed back to 10th. Those final two, a lap down. What a race to open up the 2020 championship with. And we'll be moving to race 2 soon enough. But an incredible opening win there by Ed White, and Ed White managed to get that to race 1. Guillaume Van Pamelen came through to second place. A great run up the order from him. Started pretty much in the mid pack. Johan Medart, he set the fastest lap, 32.2, but he is in third place, fighting third place though, it must be said. But what about Dante Dillon, Cedric Wouters? Epic battle there. So they've come in the pits now. Have a look at this. You'll see the seat inserts I was talking about. We've got a golden view there, number 15, which is Dante Dillon, with probably the heaviest weights added in this particular race. In the red suit there was Nicole Legner, the German. And so they're going to be pulling those seats out. They've got to go through a weight check now. Everybody has to be up to that 90 kilos, and Dante Dillon's going to be the one that's struggling most. He's got to lift that. In fact, he's got a little trolley for it. I'm looking out the window here in the pit lane. There's Dante Dillon in the pit lane with the trolley, with his seat on. It's that heavy that he's got to be throwing it around at least 4 times, maybe 6 times this weekend if he makes the final. And so he's conversing with Lewis Manley, who we're going to be talking about quite a lot. Lewis Manley, track champion here at Formula Fast. He knows his way around here. Been a consistent challenger. Overall 4 victory in the British Rental Kart Championship over the years. Lewis Manley, we're going to see in action in this next heat race. So a great start for the Brits. It looks like we're going over to Kyle Powell maybe for an interview.
Thanks, James. I'm just here with race winner Ed White. Ed, what a great way to open up your account. You made a decisive move on Dante at the end of the first lap. Was that premeditated?
Yeah, really good way to start the event. Qualifying lap I hit the barrier on the Snell section, so I didn't get a perfect lap. Dante put in a really good lap, so starting second, I knew I had to get past him as soon as possible. I knew Johan was in fourth, he'd get past Alex, and I need to get away from him really. But made the move on the first lap and managed to just get a gap. Guys behind were quick all race, they were catching, but luckily I had the gap to take the win.
Okay, nice one. Did you not feel like you needed to pit as soon as you come up with the back markers? You started to close on back markers, but you kept your head and you decided to pass them rather than jump into the pits. Yeah,
the blue flags around here are pretty good. It didn't lose too much time behind them. Thought I'd try and get the biggest gap possible, and then when they started closing in, I thought I'd have to pit just to cover them off. But it was a good race.
Well, for your efforts, I have a rather snazzy medal for you.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Congratulations. Thanks. Great drive, Ed. I'm just going to try to grab Alex Van Gien as well, who was involved in in quite a brutal midfield tussle. I'll just grab him now.
Oh yeah, teammate preference, of course.
So 6th place, Alex Van Gien. That looked pretty tricky there.
That was. I mean, I hadn't qualified myself. I don't quite know how that came out, so well happy with that. But the race, listen, I was never going to keep Johan behind me. I didn't fight him too hard. I knew he'd have a go. Van Pamelen's move was a bit aggressive. He forced me wide, but okay, if that's what we're allowing. But I was happy with my pace. I never really got a chance to open it up, though. I seem to always be defending, and so I'm happy with 6th, kept him off, but it's all good. Happy first race. That's where I expected to come.
Okay, well done, mate. Back to you, James.
Nice one, Kyle. Kyle, your opinions on that race? It was quite an epic performance, wasn't it? Particularly by Alex Van Gien, but most of all, Ed White took the win. Incredible.
Yeah, I thought it was an extremely good recovery from Johan Medart. He had a bad qualifying, and he kept his cool. He made some good moves, and also from Van Pamelen as well. He pitted early and managed to jump several people in the pit stop. So a nice tactical race and a very strong opening accounts of the drivers would expect to be at the front.
Absolutely, Carl. And obviously, we've seen you in action over the years here at Formula Fast. How's it feel to be stood there watching it? It's a bit harder, no?
It's a bit strange being on this side of it, but I'm here with a second place finisher, William van Pamelen. How did it go? It looked like you made a very good decision to pit quite early and then managed to jump a few people in the pit stops.
Yeah, I was thinking because I was faster than the person behind me. It was Johan and the other guy who were defending, so they lose a lot of time. And I was just like, yeah, let's take a gamble. So
it looked like it got a little bit tense with some of the back markers out there. Were you feeling under pressure from Johan behind?
Yeah, a little bit. It was like it takes a couple of corners when they wave the blue flag. So I was losing a lot of time in the front of Ed White. And maybe Johan was also stuck. I didn't see, but.
And also, you started to close in on Ed a little bit at the end. Did you think you had a chance at maybe a sneaky move if you got close enough?
It would be good, but I saw in the time it was like 5 minutes to go, and I was 2 times faster than him per lap. So it wasn't going to work because he was in the first couple of laps. He just got a gap of 4 seconds, and it was too big.
Okay, brilliant. Well, have a nice medal for your efforts. Congratulations, and a great way to open your account.
Thank you.
Back to you, James. Qualifying for this next race just about to start.